Hi, my name is David Andrews, and I'm going to be presenting with Gloria, Ralph, and John. As you can see here from our picture, not all dates go well, and we believe that by utilizing OkCupid's data, we can not only improve OkCupid's services, but we can also market their services to a larger percentage of the population. So, walking through what we did, step one of the data mining process is we're looking for microsegments and personas for future campaigns. We believe the marketing team can use this to identify prospective users and possibly improve these services for current OkCupid users. And while we believe that our analysis is a one-off shot, we strongly believe that OkCupid's team of crack data scientists can pick this up for future users. So then looking at step two, who do we obtain this data from? Well, we obtained our data from this guy, and I'm sorry, Professor, but I'm going to have to take issue with your shirt saying that Cleveland is a city. Unfortunately, according to the dictionary, a city is a large or important town, and I would argue that Cleveland is neither of those. But don't worry, I come from Buffalo, so we can just kind of look past this. Getting back to step three, so when it came to handling missing data, we actually kind of handle that vary depending on the EDA process. And one thing we realized with this data is because a lot of this is self-reported by the users, we have to be a little bit wary about people inflating their incomes or saying that they're really healthy and all that stuff when they're actually not. And when it came to actually looking at outliers, we considered eliminating people with over $1 million a year in income, assuming they're all liars. However, we actually found out that Mr. Martin Skrelly was an OkCupid user. I can only hope that he has updated his profile to record the fact that he now has $0 of income. And step four, with regards to reducing the data dimensions, that again kind of depended on the EDA process. And for all of our processes, we're utilizing unsupervised learning techniques. And these techniques really varied person to person, and we'll kind of walk through some of those techniques we utilized right now. So the first technique we utilized was correlating heat plots, or creating correlation heat plots. So we have two different kind of fields. We have fields with values and fields with classes. So we started by creating a very simple correlation plot between the fields with values, and we found a very, very small correlation between height and income. But this is actually interesting because there has been a lot of academic studies that actually can back this correlation up. The more interesting thing is with regards to the correlation plots we made for class variables. So we did this by pairing each variable with other class variables and then removing any rows that had null values. And then what we did is we broke down each class variable into a series of dummy vectors. So for example, the class variable of sex would be broken down into a male dummy vector and a female dummy vector. Then what we did was we calculated correlations for each of these, and then we put these on a plot. So this was what the results looked like, and we actually wound up with 120 of these plots. So as you can see from what's scrolling by on the left-hand side of the screen, we had a lot of very interesting findings from those plots, but for the sake of time, I'll just highlight a couple of our most interesting findings. One of those is that there's a negative 0.19 correlation between being bisexual and single, whereas there is a 0.14 correlation between being single and straight. So kind of going back to our buddy Dale from class, if he's feeling kind of down about being single and straight, maybe he should consider broadening his horizons. But on a serious note, we believe that OkCupid could actually utilize this information by going after people who self-identify as straight, as they're more likely to want to utilize OkCupid services. And kind of breaking that down a little bit further, looking at the bisexual demographic, there's actually a 0.14 correlation between being bisexual and female. So it's possible that OkCupid could even get more targeted by going after people who identify themselves as as straight and male. Looking at another interesting correlation between smoking and education, there's a 0.12 correlation between not smoking and graduating from a master's program, and there's a 0.09 correlation between smoking and having only graduated from high school. And this kind of goes along with other academic findings regarding a correlation between not smoking and increasing education levels. So we had already talked about how we were a little bit concerned about users misidentifying themselves in order to look more attractive. And it's important for OkCupid services to really improve that their matching by possibly looking behind what the person says that they are. And so one way to do this would be in order to make sure that the service matches smokers with smokers and non-smokers with non-smokers, they could perhaps look at education levels to guess what the person, whether the person really smokes or doesn't smoke. And the same thing kind of goes for drinking and body type. There's a 0.13 correlation between drinking desperately and saying your body is used up. So as funny as that is, actually, you could look past that and say that OkCupid could match people who want a specific body type by looking at other people's drinking habits. As we know, people who drink desperately, there's a very small likelihood, but there is a likelihood there that their body type is in fact used up. The strongest correlation we found was 0.64, and that's relating to graduating from law school and going into legal services. This seems sort of obvious, but it does kind of open up a strategy for OkCupid where they may actually be able to market their services towards people who are studying a field and pair them up with people who are working in that profession. So that would certainly give those people a lot to talk about on their dates and give them a good way of hitting it off. And then finally, the last rather interesting thing we found, which granted this is 0.09 correlation, and all these are very low, but it's important to keep in mind that with such low demographics, there's still a massive population, so even low correlations may correspond to a very large percentage of our population, or excuse me, a very large number of people. There's a 0.09 correlation between being strictly kosher and having kids and wanting more kids. So as our friendly rabbi here says, eating kosher all day makes me want more children. And OkCupid could potentially utilize this information by targeting Jewish populations with advertisements that emphasize how users can be matched with people who want large families.
My name is Ji Tao. I also go by the name Gloria. I'm presenting with David, John, and Ralph. I explored the OkCupid data by the city in order to find potential markets where we could extend the OkCupid service to. So on this slide, I'm showing a bar plot where on the left part, I plotted the top 4 cities with most OkCupid users currently. So the first one is San Francisco, followed by Oakland, Berkeley, and San Mateo. As we can see, majority of current users are in San Francisco and the surrounding cities. However, as we know, California has 4 major cities. Besides San Francisco, there are Los Angeles, San Jose, and San Diego. And I plotted the users from these 3 cities on the right part of the bar plot. And as we can see, barely any users are in these cities currently. So I believe the marketing potential in these cities are huge because these are all highly populated large cities. So the next step for marketing of OkCupid would be trying to increase user pool in these cities, especially San Jose as a first step, because San Jose is geographically closer to San Francisco, so new users from San Jose could easily be connected and matched to current users from San Francisco. Then I looked at the San Francisco data more closely. On this slide, I plotted the drinking habits of men and women from San Francisco. And as we can see, majority of our current users, both men and women, are reporting themselves as drinking socially or even more frequently. So presumably, majority of these people would be willing to go to bars for social events. So I think OkCupid could try to organize promoting social events in the bars of San Francisco. So these promoting events will benefit us in 2 ways. First of all, it could help our current users to meet in person in a more relaxed way, in a group setting, help them to connect and meet. And secondly, these events could help us to promote the OkCupid app in the bars of San Francisco. So hopefully we could attract new drinking users to OkCupid to improve our user pool. So the drinking users are taken care of. What about the non-drinkers? To answer this question, I compared the body types of drinkers and non-drinkers. The left pie chart is the body types of people who drink often or very often. The right pie chart is the body types of people who drink rarely or not at all. And it's easy to see from the pie charts that people who drink rarely or less tend to have more fit or athletic body types. And because they're so fit and healthy, I think they would be attracted more to outdoor events than to bars. So OkCupid could host promoting social events outdoors, such as biking or hiking, to help these non-drinking users to meet in person and connect. And hopefully we could also promote the OkCupid app to the healthy bikers and hikers so that we may attract more new non-drinking users to OkCupid. Thank you.
Hi, my name is John D'Alessandro, and as Gloria just spoke about, most respondents in the OkCupid data set said that they are social drinkers, and I wanted to see if there was a correlation between drinking and some other variable in the data set, and I found that there is a correlation between drinking and religious affiliation. It seems that a large portion of the people who responded as social drinkers also identify as being agnostic or atheist. And some of them also responded as being other. But we think that the marketing team has an opportunity to advertise towards these groups so they can interact with each other and match up and be able to talk about their religious views having the same one. We think that'd be very good for them and would attract more users. The next thing I looked at was a person's diet and their body type. So it turns out that most users in this data set said that they have a body type of being athletic, average, or fit. And of these three categories, the majority of them said that their diet consists of mostly anything. So we think that the marketing team has an opportunity to advertise in all local restaurants to attract users from all demographics and backgrounds, and maybe set up some sort of restaurant event. And now Yu Yan will talk about his findings.
Okay, thank you, John. And this is Yu Yan. And I'm going to start by talking about the age distribution among the users in California. And as you can see from the chart that there's a right skew distribution, which suggests that most users lie between 20 to 35 years old. And there are a few users who are above 40 and then all the way to about 60 years old. So our marketing campaign should mainly target young millennial groups since this make up most of our users. And also we have the opportunity to expand into more markets to attract users who are a little bit older. And also I started to kind of explore the relationship between smoking habit and their status. So as you can see from the top left chart that there's a decent ratio of non-smokers who are actually seeing someone or in a relationship. So I guess compared with all the other segment of users, it seems that there's an inverse relationship between smoking and seeing someone. Also, look at the chart down on the bottom that for the smokers, there's also a high percentage of single and young users. And I guess that from a marketing perspective, we can consider putting on advertisements to stores where they sell cigarettes to kind of reach out to those users and to those potential users, and they might be interested in using our dating service. And also I noticed that there's a large proportion of married users who are either trying to quit smoking or they're just only smoke occasionally. And I think that, you know, those segment of market and users are very health conscious, and they're they're looking to live a very healthy lifestyle. And so I think that's the kind of thing that we can try to convey in our marketing campaign. So overall, I think based on our findings above, there's are definitely a lot of opportunities for our marketing team to explore and then reach out to greater user base. And yeah, thank you so much.